Hidely, howdly, hodly, doodly, YouTube. 5 things I've been up to recently. Got them all done. I already got the next one in the bag, the first one of the next batch in the bag. And I'm wearing a baseball shirt today because the sun's finally starting to shine. The snow's starting to finally melt a little bit. And spring training's already in swing. So better things to come than this bullshit winter we had. Anyways, 2 books, 3 movies. Let's go. First up, the Find Your Fate Transformers book known as Earthquake, and this is number 4 in the series. So in this one, it focuses on Beachcomber, and basically the Autobots are kicking around their base in Oregon, and Beachcomber's like, oh, I'd like to go out and tour the land. So Optimus Prime says, yeah, go for it. So while Beachcomber's out, he stumbles across Rumble, who's doing his thing and making earthquakes and opening up the ground, almost like he's practicing or something. And Beachcomber just kind of observes him and is like, what's he up to? Then he follows Rumble back, discovers a secret Decepticon base. So then he reports to Prime. And so from that point onwards, you have all these choices to make, whether you infiltrate on your own and see what's happening, or go back to base and get reinforcements. But will that take too much time? And Decepticons in the meantime are going to cause some chaos. So basically the Decepticons are up to, they've got a weapon in their possession that Rumble's going to facilitate with his earthquake making ability, and they're going to test it on a nearby city and basically open up the ground around it and cause the city to just basically implode into this thing. And then if that's successful, they're going to, obviously, world domination is next on their docket. So it's up to the Autobots to prevent this from happening. So you're the one that makes all the choices and sees all the different pathways you can take to either a successful resolution or a not successful resolution. And as you know, I always try and get it right the first time and then just explore all the other story arcs. Just like with the G.I. Joe book, the last one I did last time around, I did not do well on this book. I picked the wrong way. Not as many times in a row to start as I did on the G.I. Joe book, but I was still not great on this one. And usually I get through successfully, but these last 2 books I have not done well. But another great story, meant for kids. I would have loved this when I was back in 1986 and I was 8 years old or whatever when this was released. I would have been all over it if I'd known it was a thing. In this one, we got Optimus Prime, Sunstreaker, Prowl, a lot of the mini-cons, like obviously Beachcomber, Cosmos, Powerglide, I think, was one of them, Windcharger, I think. A handful of Autobots in there. More Decepticons than Autobots actually appear in this one, which is unusual. And always Megatron, Soundwave are always there. And some of the jets. But in this time, I think all of the jets were there. Starscream and Thundercracker for sure. I think Skywarp was there, maybe not. But what's different about this one is all of the Conehead jets were there, the guys that came later. Thrust, Ramjet, Dirge, all 3 of those appeared briefly in the story as well. So lots of cool characters involved. And yeah, just another fun, kid-sized adventure. But I'm just a large one of those, so whatever. Next up, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Here Be Monsters. Released in the year 2000, trouble has come to Sunnydale in the form of 2 douchebag vampires. They look like they're from the 1980s, wearing their like polo shirts and their penny loafers, just looking like 2 complete douchebags. And before we know it's them, we just see a girl running for her life, another one disappear. So these girls are like on the fringe of society. They go to high school with Buffy, but they're like kind of tough girls wearing leather jackets and, you know, all that kind of shit. They don't have the best parents. So when they go missing, it's not really a big deal. But when a third one of these girls is feeling like she's being pursued and watched, she goes to Buffy and says, my other 2 friends have disappeared, and I think I know who it is because I've seen these 2 guys kind of following me and kind of intimidating me. But this girl's kind of rough around the edges, and she doesn't like asking for help. So while she's asking Buffy for help, she's also resentful towards Buffy because she's having to ask for her help. You know, girls are complicated, especially teenage ones, I've heard. So Buffy's like, yeah, no problem. We can look into this. But before too long, the douchebags show up at the Bronze where Buffy is meeting up with this girl. So Angel is there, all the Scooby Gang's there, and Angel and Buffy are like, we'll take care of these guys. So they end up going outside, confronting these guys. They end up dusting these two guys. But the problem is, these two douchebags have a mother vampire, and she's huge. She's just a beast. And she learns Buffy, she shows up and sees Buffy and Angel performing these deaths to her stupid douchebag twin children, and swears vengeance on Buffy. And what she ends up doing, this lady, I forget her name, she contacts some sort of being that's like the Judge Judy of the douchebag vampire evil spirit world. And this woman makes a formal complaint to this being, is like, she killed my sons. And so the being is like, okay, well, we'll put her to a test, a challenge, and if she comes through it, okay, then she was justified in what she did, and you're the one in trouble. So, and what also happens is this woman vampire, mother of these guys, kidnaps Buffy's mom, Joyce, and is like, oh yeah, if you don't pass this, your mom's fucked, just like you fucked my kids, right? So Buffy has to go to this house on her own, no weapons, and face this challenge. And basically the challenge is a reflection on herself and her own, I don't know, insecurities or whatever. So of course, y'all know this show went on for a while. Joyce eventually did die, but not from this. So Buffy comes through the challenge okay, and gets her vengeance and her deliverance in this situation, and all's well that ends well for the Scooby Gang. Really fun book, quick to read through. Like, the pages in these Buffy books just fly by. They're really well written in a very action-packed, page-turning kind of style, right? Now, onwards to the movies. First up, from 1997, a follow-up to another movie I watched recently. This one is called Mortal Kombat: Annihilation. So in this follow-up to the original Mortal Kombat movie, pieces across the land right now, because, you know, everything wrapped up tidy in the first movie. But suddenly, Shao Kahn starts opening up these portals in Earthrealm and starts invading. And he has resurrected Sindel to help him do this. And so Raiden recruits Sonya Blade, Liu Kang, and Johnny Cage to help him fight these guys off. Johnny Cage ends up getting killed. The Earthrealmers kind of have to retreat and regroup. Sonya Blade goes and recruits her friend Jax to join the cause. And Liu Kang and goes to find, and Kitana go to find Nightwolf, who they do end up finding. So they're getting these reinforcements. And in the meanwhile, Raiden goes to talk to the Elder Gods, and he's like, how could Shao Kahn do this? Like, we won the Mortal Kombat. Like, he can't attack Earthrealm. Like, what the fuck? So nobody really knows what's going on. And the Elder Gods say, like, because eventually Kitana gets kidnapped by Shao Kahn, and they say the way to resolve this is to reunite Kitana with her mother Sindel. Whereas some of the other Elder Gods are saying, no, the only way to stop this is to actually defeat and kill Shao Kahn himself. So they have a couple of avenues they can pursue. So they end up going to the nether world, or the other outworld, whatever it's called, and go to try and stop them. And one of the things they do is that Liu Kang has been talking to Nightwolf and has been going through these trials to master a form of shape changing that Nightwolf possesses called animality. So it allows the magic user to, you know, gain this animal form that can help him in combat. So Liu Kang is working on that, and in the process, a woman named Jade helps him and kind of becomes an ally of his. But when they go eventually to the outworld and they start fighting Shao Kahn and his forces, Jade turns on Liu Kang and is revealed as a double agent. So there's all this stuff going on, and eventually things come to a head. Sonya and all the Earthrealmers are able to defeat Shao Kahn's generals. And in the meantime, also Raiden has it's been revealed to him that he is actually brothers with Shao Kahn, and Shinnok is revealed as their father, and he's the one actually pulling the strings on Shao Kahn's kind of activities to bring this whole plot to be. And in the end, like I said, Shao Kahn's generals are defeated. Katana is rescued and reunited with Sindel, and it all basically comes down to a fight between Raiden and Shao Kahn. Raiden has given up his mortality, or his immortality, to take part in this fight with the other Earthrealmers, and he is actually killed in the process, but Shao Kahn is eventually defeated by Liu Kang, and once that takes place, the Elder Gods show up and are like pissed off that Shinnok, you pulled the strings on all this. Shao Kahn was turned mortal and can be defeated because he broke the rules of Mortal Kombat. So we're setting everything to rights. So Earthrealm is set fully back to normal. Raiden is brought back from the dead, blah, blah, blah. All's well that ends well. Although I don't remember if Johnny Cage is resurrected because he was the first casualty. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But everything is set to rights. The good guys win again. I felt this movie was okay. It wasn't as good as the original because it was very similar plot to the original. You know what I mean? Like, same thing. Like, Earthrealmers got to save Earthrealm from the machinations of the Outworlders, right? And in this case, Shao Kahn again, right? So I enjoyed it, but I felt it was too, what do they say, derivative from the first one, sort of thing. But you know, it is what it is. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to complain that they made it because, hey, more Mortal Kombat is better than less Mortal Kombat, even if it's not, you know, a 5-star review, right? So take that for what it's worth. Next up, a classic I used to watch a ton as a kid. From 1977, Smokey and the Bandit. I had this movie taped on a VHS tape from cable back in the day in the 80s. And I just love this movie because I love movies with big rigs and fast cars and, you know, the whole car thing and vehicle thing. It's just so much fun. That's why I love Dukes of Hazzard as a kid. You know what I mean? So the story behind Smokey and the Bandit is that a wealthy Texan guy named Enos, can't remember his black name or his last name, his black name. I'm thinking of, what am I thinking of? Never mind. So Big Enos and his little son, Little Enos, his dad's super wealthy, and they're always trying to bet truckers, if you can make this run, we'll give you this much money, right? And like for bootlegging. So he finally approaches a local legend, What's his last name? I forget his last name. His name is Bo something, but he's known as the Bandit. And this character is played by Burt Reynolds, who is the star of the Smokey and the Bandit franchise. So they catch up to the Bandit at a local truck race competition or whatever, and they're like, we want to make you a bet. We bet you can't make it from Atlanta, Georgia, where they are, or I don't know if it's Atlanta, I think it's Atlanta, but somewhere in Georgia, across the state line into Texarkana, pick up 400 cases of Coors Light, bring them back here in 28 hours, unmolested, whatever. And so Bandit's like, you got yourself a deal. So he recruits his one of his best friends, Cletus the Snowman, to help him in this adventure. And if they pull it off successfully, they get themselves a cool $80,000. He also gets a new car to go along with it to help facilitate everything, which he ends up getting a 1977 Pontiac Trans Am, the black one with the bird on the so the two of them set off for Texarkana. The Bandit's driving the Trans Am and being the guy that kind of blocks for the truck, and the Snowman's driving the big rig with his dog. I forget the dog's name. So they make their way to Texarkana pretty much unmolested, and they throw the 400 cases of Coors Light into the truck, and then they exit Texarkana. But that's when all hell breaks loose on the way back. A local lawman in Texarkana named Buford T. Justice is hot on their trail after discovering what they're up to. And so basically the way back to Georgia is just a long sequence of just incidents, running in with other local police. The bandit runs into this girl who's basically running from her own wedding, ripping off her wedding dress on the side of the road. She asks for a ride, so he picks her up. Her name's Carrie, played by Sally Field, who's super hot. Like I said, they run into other local lawmen. The snowman stops off at a diner to make a call home to his wife and pick up some food. Ends up getting in a fight with some local ruffians. Like, just one thing after another. And they're making good time at first, but with each little incident, right, it slows them down, Are they going to make it in time? I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but just, it's basically like a long-ass episode of Dukes of Hazzard with other characters, right? Which, can't go wrong with that. Loved this movie as a kid. Loved it every bit as much watching it all these years later. I haven't seen it since the 80s, probably like the mid to late 80s. So it's been a long, long time. And, you definitely tell it's the age of it, but it holds up for me, so well after all these years. Love it. Last up, from the year 2024, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So, it starts off with a scene from 1974 when a meteor hits Earth. Inside of it is Shadow the Hedgehog. So, and he's got this power. I forget the power that he has, but the gun, I forget what that stands for. Something United Nations. No, can't remember, but it's a military outfit, and they're the ones that pick up this meteor and pick up Shadow, and put him in a facility to study him and whatever. And overseeing the study of Shadow is Gerald Robotnik, whose granddaughter Maria is also with him in this facility. So essentially Shadow is able to roam the facility as much as he wants initially, because he's kind of innocent, and they're just running tests, and he hits it off really well with Maria. But eventually, once people become suspicious of him and know that and sees that he has this power, the military, this gun operation, wants to basically hold him in confinement. So as this is made known to Robotnik, him and Maria and Shadow try to escape. A big chase ensues. The gun people end up causing an explosion. All hell breaks loose. Maria is killed in the chaos, and Robotnik is heartbroken, and so is Shadow. And Shadow is eventually taken captive, and he's basically put into like stasis for the next however many years. But current times, somebody mysteriously unlocks the prison that Shadow is being held in, and he comes alive, and people in there are like, oh fuck. And he basically lays waste to the place. Anybody that gets in his way is getting a beat down, right? And he escapes and is on the loose. So the current director of gun, or higher up, a girl named Rockwell, approaches Sonic and his family. They're often in the forest celebrating Sonic's Come to Earth Day, his anniversary. So it's Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and of course Tom and what's her name? I forget. They're off being a family in the woods, but they're approached by Gun, and they're like, the three animals are like, let's do this. So they go after Shadow. He escapes their attempts to capture him, and afterwards, suddenly some tech that Ivo Robotnik is famous for shows up, and they're like, what the hell is this? Like, why is Robotnik getting involved? So eventually they track down Robotnik and his aide. I forget the guy's name, but he loves Robotnik. And Robotnik's like, wasn't me, don't look at me, and I'm being legit. I had nothing to do with this. So eventually, a temporary truce is kind of formed between Sonic's team and Robotnik's little duo there, and they go looking for answers in terms of Shadow and in terms of this tech. and eventually they raid the old original gun facility where Shadow was, the explosion happened and Maria was killed and everything. And there they run into Shadow as well as Gerald Robotnik, who is Ivo's grandpappy. And so basically what Gerald and Shadow are up to is they want to, I forget what the laser's called, but they have some sort of big laser in space, a big station that has a laser on it, kind of like the Death Star. And Gerald says, all I want to do is use this thing to blow up Gunn's headquarters in New York or wherever it is and get my vengeance on them for killing my granddaughter and putting Shadow in stasis for decades. So Ivo Robotnik is like, Grandpappy? He's like starstruck that his grandfather's alive, and this is where he gets all of his skill and whatever from. So he joins their team. So it's basically the three good guys plus Tom and his wife eventually enter to help versus the Robotnik duo and Shadow, right? So it turns into just basically a war between the two, with Sonic's team eventually trying to stop them from using this laser, because Gerald eventually reveals to Ivo that, oh, I'm not just destroying the gun headquarters in New York, I'm just destroying the whole planet, and then we'll be destroyed too. And Ivo's like, what? Like, we're gonna die because Maria died? Like, I get you're upset about this, and yeah, let's get some vengeance, but you can't blow up the whole world, right? So then those two start fighting, you know, and then Sonic and Sonic kind of turns his back on Tails and Knuckles because he sees no other way to defeat Shadow than to gain the power of the Chaos Emerald and go at Shadow. But they're like, then you're going to be no better than Shadow, getting his revenge on Earth and Gun for Maria's death, right? But Sonic doesn't see their points at first, ends up going at Shadow. The two of them start fighting. Shadow ends up gaining the power of the Chaos Emerald as well. They continue fighting until Sonic finally realizes, after talking with Shadow, yeah, I'm no better than you are. And so the two kind of fucking calm down and talk about it. And so the two of them eventually come to be friendly and eventually turn the tide on the Robotniks, along with Ivo's help as well, because he's turned on Gerald. And they're able to avert disaster at the end of the film with just throwing the laser off, of course, just at the last minute so it avoids Earth. And it appears as though on the Robotnik Shadow side, everybody dies. I'm not going to tell you what actually happens, but there might be some survivors there. And Sonic and all his team are okay in the end. And Sonic returns to his family, say, guys, I fucked up. You guys were right. I was a little too hot-headed and bent on revenge. But everything worked out well in the end, sort of thing, right? So, great movie. I've loved all these Sonic movies. This one was really fun. Jim Carrey's performance as Robotnik is just, well, as two Robotniks this time. It's too bad that he kind of left Hollywood, because he is so good at what he does, right? So I'm glad he still does some stuff, and him as Robotnik is just a perfect pairing. And I've read and watched some videos that he kind of left Hollywood because he wasn't really a fan of what was going on there, and that's so refreshing to hear, because hearing all this Billie Eilish bullshit at the Grammys or whatever, and like, shut the fuck up. Like, talking about stolen land while you're living on your fucking $3 million mansion on stolen land, and you're gonna give your fucking place back, right? Like, I'm so sick of celebrities just spouting off at the mouth. They live in this whole different fucking reality with how much money they have and how, you know, they never have to worry about anything. They don't know what it's like to be a regular person, so shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? So, and I was reading some comments on some of these videos I watch about celebrities, and like some people are commenting like, celebrity culture is dead. Like, it's dying. And it's, you know, I feel that way because back in the day in the 80s and 90s, you used to actually care about what they thought because they were normal back then, or more normal, I guess. And I used to tune into the Oscars, you know, when Titanic won, and I wanted to see Kate Winslet because I liked her so much, and everybody just seemed more normal. But now it's just like, they're so out to lunch that they're just losing touch with the regular people. Like, I haven't watched any of those award shows in probably a couple decades, you know. And I don't watch talk shows anymore, late night shows, because it's just, there are some that I do enjoy and have a more normal approach to life, and a more normal head on their shoulders. But so many of them are just spouting all this political bullshit, and it's just like, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. And I'm glad that I have personally stopped watching all that bullshit, and I feel like a lot of other people have too. And that's better off for everybody, because listening to them won't get you anywhere, right? So, but that was just a little tangent at the end of my video here. Love Jim Carrey. We need more Jim Carrey in our lives. Anyways, that's the 5. You know, I'm hard at work on the next 5, so I will see you soon. Peace. Meow.